Hey leaders, I hope everyone is doing well. I just wanted to give you once again a huge thank you for the Thanksgiving feast night, the food you brought, helping serve, and just being with our students. I think it was a really special time and really looking forward to getting to do that again next year. But thank you again so much for helping pull that off. I know it was a lot to ask, and I'm so thankful for all that each one of you did. I wanted to talk about the next lesson coming up this Sunday. And then get into what is going to be happening in December. So first of all, the lesson this Sunday is called The Betrayed Priest, and it really digs into Matthew 26, the Garden of Gethsemane, where Jesus prays and then is betrayed by Judas to the crowd and to the guards. And so there's a couple of interesting things. I think it's once again the lesson, as we've kind of been looking at this prophet, priest, king thing, I think the lesson title doesn't really tie to the points the lesson makes. Which isn't that huge of a deal, except I think I do want us to be careful to point out some of the things that connect to Jesus being our priest in this specific story. I think, first of all, it's interesting that Jesus' prayer, as he goes into the garden, he's praying for himself. He's almost interceding, as a priest does, for himself in his prayer to the Father. But it's interesting there because he's willing at the end of that prayer to surrender to whatever God is calling him to do, and he knows what that is. And so he's willing to go be our sacrifice and take our place. And so that's an important part of him taking on that role as our priest. A second thing also is that he tells the disciples ahead of time, after I've risen from the dead, this is where you're going to meet me in Galilee. And the lesson, I thought, brought up an interesting point that I'd never thought about. He knows that they're about to betray him and scatter. Peter's going to do it, the worst, but the rest of them, with the exception of John, are going to abandon him and leave, right? And Jesus already knows this is going to happen, and he's already planning for a reunion and a restoration of the disciples after the resurrection. And so it's a really cool way to see already Jesus knows what's about to happen. He knows they're going to run away, but he's already got the plan to bring them back, right, and to reconcile them to himself. And again, that's another role the priest plays, is to bring us back to God. And so to see that there as well. Also, in John's gospel, in this part of the story, in the garden, the betrayal in the garden, Jesus makes the crowd, makes the guards and those who are arresting him identify who they're after. And he says, I'm he. I am Jesus of Nazareth, whom you come to arrest. And he says, if I'm the one you're looking for, let these men go. And so once again, Jesus steps in between and says, don't arrest them, let them go. Now again, they fear and they run away, but Jesus makes sure to ensure that they are not arrested. And so it's a really interesting moment where Jesus intercedes for his disciples. It's also an interesting point to notice how the disciples in this story are ready to fight for Jesus, but they're not ready to die for Jesus. And I think that could be an interesting thing that we could talk about when you talk about the application and what we're willing to do in faithfulness to the Lord. And so those are some good things to point out about Jesus being our priest within this story. As you look into this story, don't forget to use those questions of observation, interpretation, and application. Next week's lesson is a doctrine lesson in Hebrews. We'll kind of shift a little bit and talk about Jesus being our interceding priest and really look at the doctrine of his intercession. And that's huge because that really talks about what is Jesus doing now. Right? We've talked about what he's done in the past, but his priestly intercession is something he does for us every day. And I think that will really help students begin to see that it's not just what Jesus has done in the past for them, but what he's doing right now. But that brings us to December. Here's what's coming up over the next few weeks that you need to know about. The next few Sundays will be normal Sundays through December 10th. You'll teach a lesson, very normal flow. On December 17th, we'll have Christmas parties. I'll share a special word, but that will be a morning where but you won't have to prepare a lesson and be ready to teach that day. Wednesday night right after Thanksgiving is Campus Christmas Party, where our whole campus will gather together. I'll be leading some stage games in the worship center, and then we'll be showing the animated movie The Grinch, and just a time for the whole church to be together. So encourage your students to come. They can sit with their families, they can sit together, they can come be a part of the games and get hot chocolate and snacks and get pizza and all that kind of fun stuff. It'll be a really fun night. And then the next two Wednesday nights is students only. December 6th is going to be a local missions night. We'll have 3 different service projects we'll be working on, and our college student Jackson will be preaching that night, and that'll be a really cool time of reaching out to the community before the holidays and for the holidays. And then the following week, December 13th, will be a Christmas night of worship, where we'll gather the students together just for a time of focusing on Jesus and worshiping him as we get ready for Christmas. And so both of those are great opportunities to come and just be with your students and enjoy them. And then finally, December the 10th, that's a Sunday, right after church here in the office building and in the student building, we're going to have our Life Team Christmas party. Just a student ministry, you, your families, your kids. Just come. If you can come that day, let me know. The plan is to bring either a soup or a stew or a chili or some kind of to share with everybody. If we all bring one crock pot of something, we can all kind of share and sample in between. Student ministry will provide some drinks that day, and it'll be a lot of fun. And so I hope everyone can come on the 10th and just be together. Our kids can hang out and play, and we'll just visit and eat and have a good time. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Thanks for all you do, and we will see you on Sunday morning.